All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, humans and pets, welcome back to the Wild Rift Asia Brawl 2021 Group Stage, Week 2, Day 2, and this is the second game between Sengoku Gaming and Berjaya Dragons. Again, there's a lot of story to be told about the second match. This is the time for Berjaya Dragons to throw everything on the table and prove themselves to be the worthy underdog today. Now, the second match ban pick is already underway, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and send it to the caster's desk, but I do have a very interesting question for X-Condro here. Do you think being very textbook or very clinical is good or bad for a team in Wild Rift? So, go ahead.
I think, given the stage of competitive that we're at right now, which is very early on when people are still figuring out how best to play the game, if you have a textbook way of dealing and getting consistent leads, then it's good, like right now. Because if you're following a set play that essentially works every time and no one's figured out how to deal with it, then it's good to have essentially it's good to have that clinical nature to your gameplay. I think it only starts to become a problem once people start to understand the game more and become more innovative and start to if you are unable to change and unable to adapt from that style, that's where the problem comes in. So I think right now, if it's working for you, absolutely it's a good way to play the game. But I think the later that we go, the better players get, the more understanding players get of the game, that's when it's going to start to be more of a detriment. That's my personal opinion anyway, D2.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Well, let's just talk about this particular draft right now. Sengoku banded. They banned Gragas and Alistair, which is interesting because they actually had Alistair last game. And Berjaya Dragons have banned Oriana and Aurelion, so taking out those mid laners. We're on the side of Berjaya Dragons POV, as they've picked Misfortune, Lee Sin, Janna, and Malphite thus far. And the Sengoku have taken Kennen, Braum, and Olaf, and we're waiting on their last two picks here.
It's very similar comp this time round. I think with the I think Lulu was actually banned this game. I'm gonna do no. So it was Gragas and Alistair and Oriana running. So they're actually favoring Janna over Lulu with the Misfortune here. But the overall composition is relatively similar. I'd love to see the Yasuo come through. I mean, we don't get to see Yasuo much in professional play, but if there is one champion that Yasuo really combos well with, it's Malphite. Like, he just sets up ultimates really well in these teamfight situations. So I would love to see a potential Yasuo coming through. And there we go, Berjaya Dragons. They are going for a very, very scary kind of team fight wombo combo. Very different comp coming out from the side of Sengoku this time round, though. But they have the Kennen. They have that Kennen in the Baron lane. That's going to be a big thing.
We were talking off stream of the single player wombo combo. So on the side of Sengoku, they have the wombo combo of Kennen. And that's it, period. Because he is a wombo combo by himself. It is that powerful. Rounding out their comp is going to be the Ahri and the Jhin, were the last couple of picks there. So that's going to be their backline. I've seen Hawk do pretty well with the Ahri. Obviously, it did reasonably well in one of our early games before she kind of fell off at the end there. But looking forward to how it is played here by Hawk. As we get into our game number 3 or 2, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the pure team fight is better from Berjaya Dragons. Like the way they combo together in a 5v5 is much more cohesive than what we've got coming out from Sengoku. But Sengoku have Kennen, and Kennen is broken. So that's what I'm looking at. Obviously, I think Malphite can beat Kennen in lane. At least he doesn't get battered by Kennen in the laning phase, and Kennen does absolutely dump on a lot of top laners right now, a lot of Baron laners right now. But Malphite is one of the few that can actually sustain versus Kennen quite easily. Like, you have a regenerating shield, you keep slapping him with your first ability. It's quite difficult sometimes with Kennen in that scenario. But overall, I think I favor the actual team fight comp if it works on an even playing field from Berjaya Dragons, but I just know that Sengoku, with that broken Kennen and how they played the previous game, you can never count them out just based on composition.
Yeah, we're switching over back to the Sengoku side. I was on the Berjaya Dragon stream as well, and it paused at the exact same time that producer Dave. So it looks like it's on the streamer side that is occurring right there. Typical situation here. The side opposite the Misfortune and Support are getting a bit pushed back here, but Dejibo and Slashmoon are holding their own for the time being. Looks like there's gonna be a little bit of rotating mid. I actually have a question for you regarding Yasuo. Assuming he doesn't die here. Okay, he does get the the wind wall off. But so Yasuo, obviously, you're talking about the combination with Malphite, because Yasuo, in order to use his ult, someone needs to already be knocked up in the air. Can you do that with Lee Sin? Can you knock him back and then ult into him? Interesting.
You can do it as soon as Lee Sin hits the kick. It counts as a knock up. So also Lee Sin can knock other people up by kicking someone through, like kicking the enemy through the through like other enemies. So yeah, it can work with Lee Sin. It can work with Janna knockup. It actually, I believe it. I'm not entirely sure. I think it might even work with the Janna knockback from her ultimate. I'd have to double check though. That's something that yes, it does. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I was gonna say if it works with the knockback from Lee Sin, it should not work with any knockback. So okay, so it works with knockbacks as well as knockups. Interesting to see here. Looks like Slashmoon in a bit of trouble. Dejiwo was gonna have to get his body in the way there. There was a nice route onto the Janna, however, which made force her a little bit back. So a bit of back and forth here, although not that much damage onto the Misfortune. Is gonna try to continue that pressure onto this lane. Other than that, not a whole lot going on here. We have Rush doing his Rush thing, which he's been doing since the beginning of time. He just goes through his jungle, doesn't really pay attention to the rest of the game until he's good and ready. Thank you very much. As you can see, he's rotating over to the last of his jungle members, and or jungle creeps, I should say. And we still have Slashmoon and Deju kind of duking it back and forth here with Janna and Misfortune.
Yeah, I mean, Olaf's got a really quick clear speed.
Click queer. Something like that.
He's got a very quick clear speed, so he can get through his camps very, very speedily. It means he can accelerate his levels in gold, more so than any other jungler. I think very few junglers clear at the speed that which Olaf does. Shyvana being one of the few that can actually keep pace, as well as Graves once he gets a couple of items. But right now, Olaf is like a super strong jungle clearer, and he has that inbuilt lifesteal in his kit as well, which can keep him relatively healthy doing so. So, he's just power farming his jungle at this point in time, setting up for that first dragon in the game. And he's going to look to come into that first dragon with some item spikes, looking really scary. He's timed his clear so perfectly. Dragon spawning in 25 seconds. I'm expecting this Olaf to come in like an absolute powerhouse at this next fight, because that's kind of what he's timed his jungle clear to do,
Yeah, he's done exactly that. It does mean they haven't really focused for or tried to go for any kills in the meantime, so it's been a relatively quiet game. You can see that they're pinging near where Hawk is, toward that center side of the map, the lower river. As you can see, Lee Sin kind of coming over. Chat from Slashmoon is going to spot that out as the dragon does spawn here. I would imagine that the opposite side is probably going for that potentially Rift Scuttler, although you can see that Sengoku does have vision on that. So both teams not really, just kind of still playing past it, despite the fact that the dragon's already up. You can see Rush on the Olaf is just rotating right back through his blue. As someone who's played quite a bit of Olaf, it's very painful when you don't have that blue X. I need that blue. I just need it.
I think blue does give you a lot of inbuilt sustain when you're going through the jungle, so it's quite nice to see. I can see that obviously right now Sengoku are posturing with the need to bring that Kennen to the dragon fight, and I think that's one of the things that are holding Berjaya dragons from straight up starting it. Like if Kennen joins this fight, they probably lose, because Kennen, that's kind of what Kennen's designed to do, right? So what I think, it's nice to see from the Olaf is that he's like, okay, well, Kennen hasn't made that rotation yet, so I'm going to utilize this time to just steal as many camps as I can away from the enemy. He took away the Razor Beaks, and now is setting up nicely for this dragon. Probably going to clear his own Razor Beaks once more, but Kennen is now rotating over to this side of the map. So I'm expecting a team fight to occur with that Kennen ultimate. The GA has now been finished for the Jhin. Interestingly, that the Jhin still chooses to go for GA as first item despite the nerfs to the cost. But realistically, I think, as I was discussing with my AD carry partner, Jhin just doesn't have a really clear build path right now. And so like this is why he's dropped off a little bit. Like his old build path has just been nerfed, and he doesn't really have a really solid clear build path at this point in time.
Yeah, well, easy peasy take on the dragon there. In response, Berjaya Dragons do have a couple of members up top to try to take that turret down. It actually does go down in the end. So turret for a dragon. We'll see who is able to come out on top of that equation as this game goes on. Actually, TJ and I were talking about the nerf yesterday as well, because the devs are saying the age of GA is over, and I'm like, really? I don't know. I think some people are still gonna pick it pretty earlier on. But maybe it might be cut in half or something. But
yeah, I still second item it on a lot of the junglers that I play. So I'll go second item GA on my Shyvana. I'll go second item GA on my Wukong and on my Lilith. Like, it's still a really strong item. Oh, that was close. I thought Lee Sin was going to get it. He actually might get caught out here.
Yeah, okay, well, it looks like the ult's going to come out from the Braum to knock 3 members up. Barely the Olaf is able to get away as both Lee Sin and the Misfortune fall. Oh my goodness, on a razor's edge, but Rush certainly knows what he's doing. Going to go ahead and take the honey food. Going to go ahead and release that Rift Herald, and that they're going to take down 1 tower, even looking for more here. Kennen leading the charge potentially. He hasn't been a part of any of these fights, kind of been constrained to the side lane with a Malphite, but he's ready and raring. Oh, just kidding. He's gonna back off.
He just used the ultimate in that team fight as well. And Kennen with that ultimate is really, really crap. So, but yeah, I don't blame him from just like sort of backing away from a fight without his ultimate available. One of the things. Oh goodness me, sorry. One of the things that I think I really wanted to highlight was I was about to praise Berjaya Dragons for the play they made around the dragon. I was about to praise them, saying, okay, they realized it's a bad idea to fight versus a Kennen, especially at this stage of the game when your combo's not together. So, like, take the first turret of the game. Super clever macro play to just trade that off, like the first dragon of the game, not absolutely worth it every single time. And then they completely reversed that mistake and made that mistake at the Rift Herald. I understand that what Lee Sin was trying to do. He was trying to make a cheeky steal and get out, but he couldn't do that. Got caught behind the pit and ended up killing his entire team. But Sengoku were really proactive to make that play over the wall with the Kennen and the Olaf flashing into the Braum ultimate. So, got to praise Sengoku for just taking the opportunity when they saw it and running with it. And unfortunately, Berjaya Dragons, they avoided the dragon fight for that very reason, and then just proceeded to take the fight at the Rift Herald not so long later. So yeah, just unfortunately made a mistake that they had actually cleverly avoided just previously.
You get the feeling that Sengoku is just kind of playing chess and just trading pieces, right? Like, okay, we got the dragon. Okay, you got a turret. Okay, that's good. That's fine. And then you saw Berjaya they hung a piece, and then and so Sengoku's like, all right, we'll go ahead and take that one. Thank you very much. They're just kind of just biding their time, waiting for Berjaya to offer them a good trade, or just hang a piece or what have you. Just kind of playing it slow and steady.
Looks like they're setting up for this next dragon, which is the Infernal, I believe. So that is going to be a rather spicy dragon. It's probably the most impactful in terms of like just raw impact on a game. Oh wow, that was so nice from the Ahri. Oh my goodness, that's what you pick up for, mate. That's what you pick Ahri for.
Yeah, Ahri, the Hawk with the beautiful charm to set up that kill onto the Misfortune. One of the primary targets as well, if you are on the side of Sengoku, taking out that ADC and potentially setting up for a Dragon Tech. Though Misfortune will probably be back up in a moment's notice, but still pretty huge here. The Dejuo getting a lot of actually that was yet another charm, it looks like, onto one of the members of Berjaya. They're gonna go ahead and get away, but still very scary if you're on that side. Yasuo trying to push forward. Braum in a little bit of trouble, gonna back away and dash over to Rush. The Lee Sin jumps in onto the Braum here, maybe just correcting his positioning, but Rush gonna go ahead and jump onto him. He's getting extremely low, has to go ahead and flash away. So too low is Dejuo, though, as Malphite's trying to finish off that kill. He's not able to get his ult off, though. Braum isn't, and Rush is going to jump back in, get some damage, get one kill, but he's going to get taken up by the Malphite in the end. But after all is said and done, the side of Sengoku was able to take down members off the screen there, and they finished with a 4v2 team fight.
When it comes to Berjaya Dragons, like they need to set up the team fight around the combo between the Malphite and the Yasuo. That's kind of what this entire comp is designed to do. You just layer that Misfortune ultimate over the top. Again, like two split, they weren't set up properly for this dragon fight. They were kind of running in one by one. I think they were greedy for how low the Olaf was, and that's why they were separating up. And that unfortunately just meant that it was very easy for Kennen to just split the team apart with his ultimate and take the kills where he could. Right now, Berjaya Dragons in a dire spot this game. And Sengoku, again, just looking very clinical with the way that they're executing on these team fights. As Dave would say, playing it textbook style. And what I love about the Sengoku is they are not like stupid when it comes to objectives. Like so many times I see teams like they set up for objective, they start it, the enemy team comes towards them, and instead of just utilizing their powerful team fight advantage or the gold advantage to peel off and start the fight and then take the fight and then take the objective, they for some reason either want to 50-50 it and go for a smite war, or they want to like just try and force it down, take the damage from the dragon and get beaten up by the enemy team who are aggressing onto them, and then they end up losing it anyway. Whereas Sengoku, as soon as they see an opportunity, they peel off the objective, they go for the fight and they win it. And that's like just one of the nice things that I like to see around objective play that Sengoku do really well.
Yeah, they got a nice kill onto the Yasuo up top and get a tower for it. However, Berjaya, really pretty good rotations here from them as well, realizing that the top was a lost cause, and they get a turret for themselves, the all-important mid turret there. So Berjaya making some smart plays here, trying to get back into the game as Sengoku attempt to lean on them, but unable to get this mid turret.
Won't be too long, though. They've pretty much cracked open the rest of the map, so they should be able to eventually just siege that mid lane tier 1, and then aggress and put some vision behind the Baron in the red side jungle. Obviously, you know, with an Ahri, having vision control on the enemy jungle is really, really strong because, again, plenty of pick potential with the Ahri charm. You know, I think right now she has been a big driving force behind some of the successes that they've had before these objective fights. And again, I'd like to see them continue that by getting this vision in the enemy jungle, setting up for picks. But that mid lane tier 1 definitely has to go down. That should be a target. And I wonder if they're going to try and pressure that out by having the split push come through from their sideline. As it looks like they're going to, I guess, again, move into a 1-3-1 here, or at least start to pressure the side lanes, because then that will draw people to those side lanes. And if you draw people to the side lanes, you might be able to then go for an objective taking the mid lane. Although, with Ahri showing bot, Berjaya was trying to threaten Baron.
Yeah, you saw Rush just spamming the attack button as they were trying to maybe aggress onto them. Rush really feeling confident, wants to take a fight whenever he can. Obviously, he has quite a bit of gold to his side. They're going to be pushing onto this mid tower, getting a lot of damage onto it. Slashman trying to do as much as he can to kind of whittle it down little by little. The dragon is going to be up in about 30 seconds from now, as you can see on your screen. That's a bit grayed out. Kind of a little bit of weird split push here. 3 in the mid, 2 in the bottom is just Sengoku leaning on them just a little bit, and they finally get this important mid tower. 15 seconds onto the dragon here, and then Kennen seems like we'll split off and they'll be on their way. Or no, he's going to join the team.
That was really nice from Sengoku. Like, one of the things that you can do with Brawl is you can just put your shield up, put your unbreakable up, walk up to a tower, and essentially block any damage that tries to come in and clear the wave. So they were able to do that with relative ease, and that allowed them to use the Jhin, who's got a lot of turret damage. Like, Jin's 4th shot deals a significant amount of damage to turrets. And so they were able to do that really easily. It looks like they tried to start Baron here. I mean, it looks like Berjaya Dragons is like desperate in terms of trying to find something. Oh, beautiful charm again.
Oh my goodness, the jar gets him, and the Yasuo's extremely low. Gets taken out by the Braum in the end. Ult comes out as well. That's a knock-up onto the Malphite. He's going to go down. No damage onto Sengoku at all. The ult comes out here to try to push out multiple members, but Jan is not going to be able to save his team for long as Lee Sin goes down as well. And that desperate attempt onto the Baron is definitely not rewarded as Sengoku rotate right over and take down 3.
Yeah, and this might even be inhibitor turret as well, or will definitely be inhibitor turret. With the loss of misfortune, might even be gained. They don't have a lot of minions to work with, but it's definitely looking like they could push it through.
Can you do it, Janna? Can you hold the fort? She's trying to do it, throwing out her hurricane to try to keep members off, but that is 5 onto the Nexus. Malphite does come back, but it's too little, too late, and a clinical performance here from Sengoku as they dominate yet another team in our tournament 2-0.